Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Swords of St. Michael Network. Tonight, we are going to be talking about Exorcism, a movie review based loosely on the case of Anneliese Michel out of Germany. The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And I promise you this is going to get a little bit intense, a little bit graphic. We're going to be talking about, can demons really do that? And how they go about being shown via Hollywood. So, hold on. Grab something cold to drink because we're going to get right into the introduction and tell you about the movie. So this is going to be kind of exciting because I've had so many requests to do this. First of all, I want to put a basic warning up. One of those caveats that says this is going to be an adult episode. This is not made for children. This is basically, it's a concept that many people struggle with understanding and knowing about, or even admitting that it's real. And it's very difficult for people to even wrap their minds around that something like this could happen. So as I said, I am your hostess here at Swords of St. Michael Network. My name is Farrah Rose, Sister Farrah Rose, professed Franciscan, OFS, and I work for the Office of Exorcism, Deliverance, and Healing. And tonight's episode is going to bring you an inside look at the exorcism of Emily Rose. And as we talk about these things, if you have anyone within earshot that is, let's say, 16 or younger, I would ask that you either put on some headphones or maybe leave the room or turn the volume on really low, because we do not want anyone that has suffered trauma, anyone that could be triggered by the topics that we're talking about. All right. So there is the warning. Now it's time to call St. Michael into the mix, and we're going to get started. In nomine Patri et Filio et Spiritus Sancti, sic erat in principio et nunc et semper et saeculorum. Amen. Sancti Michael Arcangele, defende nos in prelio, contra nequitiam et insidiis diaboli esto presidium. Imperit illi Deus, supplicis te peccamur tuque, princeps maletia celestis, satana maliosque, spiritus malignos, qui ad perditionem animarum pervegantur in mundo divina virtute in infernum detrure. Amen. Now, this is just blasting live, so if you're here to get like the boom, 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 you're going to hear me interrupt, and I've got to say hello to people in chat from time to time, and we will be taking questions. So I want to remind you, if you're new, there's lots of videos on this site, Swords of St. Michael, and we go everywhere from the ghost, the demonic, etc., from a Catholic religious demonologist point of view. This series seeks to outline the ways our culture looks and presents the supernatural, preternatural, and the demonics to us. So that said, I'm hoping you enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up. It scrolls it up in the algorithm, and other people can be exposed to these important truths. And as all we know, truth is relative. It may not be your truth. However, this is the truth that I've lived for most of my life. Thank you, Pio. Also, if you are interested in supporting the channel and supporting the private and public work that I do at swordsofstmichael.org, we have many prayers for those that are oppressed, neglected, feeling sad, down. If they need some guidance, if they need some direction, if they need to find out their diocese, you can get a hold of me through help@swordsofstmichael.org. Also, if you'd like to become a monthly Patreon, or even just a one-time of donations for $10 so I can get stamps, it all adds up, and I thank you so much. Already I've had 2 super chats. Thank you so much, Ashley and Matt. We've got a few moderators. Oh my gosh. And one of my favorites in the house, Father Jamie. God bless you. Oh, don't call yourself a blind priest. We love you dearly, and your new puppy too. But Ashley's here, Matt, Athena, Jennifer, and good to see you, Solomon. Jennifer, it's so good to see you too. Everyone, it means so much for your support, and thank you for the roses. Thank you for the hearts. You know, you guys have brought me back from the brink in the last 3 years, especially you, Father Jamie. It's so wonderful to see you. Oh, and Sean made it, another moderator. We do have moderators in the house, so if you say anything against the Blessed Mother or Jesus, boom, you're getting the boot, okay? If you're rude or you say anything else that is, shall we say, moderately lewd, seductive, or nasty, boom, you're getting the boot. No questions asked. Sorry about it. Not going to be tolerated here. Those are the rules. If you have questions, I'm going to take them toward the end of the program, all right, regarding the exorcism topics that we're discussing here. And please, all questions must be in caps. I do have a few moderators that will try to make sure they text the questions to me. If I forget it, please copy and paste it. And toward the end, I'll say, does anybody have any last questions? And I'll try to get to all of you. And it's Anne. She made it. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to get started. And Tony, you made it. We are going to start with, as usual, this is a Hollywood movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And the Hollywood movie presents to us a case, and it is set instead of the case that was in Germany. And I'm not going to go into that too much, because if you want to do the research on the Anneliese Michel case, you can look it up. This is a true case that actually happened of the exorcism. It was very graphic. It's very horrific. I would not recommend you look at it just for curiosity's sake, because we know that curiosity's sake invites things like nightmares and obsessions and all kinds of stuff. So let's not look at that. We're going to look at how Hollywood presents this. So in this case of the exorcism of Emily Rose, this is a trial set here in, it almost looks like dark Gothic Kansas, America. It's really amazing how they set this tone. This house right behind me looks like it's on an expanse of flatline land, probably like in the middle of the Dust Bowl somewhere. In this movie, we're going to look at the timeline of this young gal, Emily Rose, the young lady who lived in this house, the young lady that went on to college. And as the movie looks at it through the eyes of the priest, the prosecutor, and the doctor that was involved in the actual exorcism. And somebody asked earlier, does this movie follow loosely the actual case of Emily Rose? And I want to tell you that it does. It really does. There's many things that coincide, and we're gonna pick apart, can demons really do that here? So as I was saying, overview of the movie is the case against a priest who believed with all his heart, soul, and might, who was actually the family parish priest. These were Catholic families, or Catholic family. They were very religious. They prayed. They had great faith. And this priest wanted more than anything else to help them. This priest was taken to, literally, they didn't want him to be an embarrassment in the movie. So the Vatican hires him a great lawyer. And the lawyer doesn't want him to testify. They basically want to cut a deal. They want to save the priest, save the Vatican, the, embarrassment, the bishop, et cetera, et cetera. And that's basically where it comes from, as that this isn't real. This is imaginary. It is not something that they want exposed or they want anybody to really know about, especially in the fact that they're trying to try a priest for neglect and murder of a young woman, a 19-year-old woman. And in this instance, this is where we step into the movie, is right into the trial. At the beginning of the movie opens, it's really pretty creepy. And this is why some of these things we say, don't look at, don't watch, don't even you don't need to see it, okay? It's fun doing the movie reviews, and that's because I already saw it. Yes, this is a very sad movie, Anne. And it's only sad in the sense that we can't understand some of the greatest spiritual concepts of what happened. We cannot understand what went on in this family. We can't understand what the circumstances were that her body gave out and died. I will tell you that this movie does touch on the realistic truth of stigmata and the fact that Annalise Michel, who this was about, did bear the stigmata. Hello, Christian. It's so good to see you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Love it. I got a super chat and I got to say thank you. As I said, this is live. Oh, God bless you guys. You guys are so wonderful. So let's dive into the movie. The movie starts off and there's these growling and nasty hissing voices. And that's when we go directly to a courtroom where we have the lawyer defending the priest. Exactly, Solomon. And we'll get into that. Palmina, welcome. God bless you guys. It's so good to see so many new faces tonight. The Exorcism of Emily Rose is a Screen Gems production based loosely on this true story. The screams that were presented were supposedly, hey, Edgar, you made it. Good to see you. They were from an actual audio recording of one of the exorcists. Yes, I said hi to you, Palmina. Good to see you. The exorcism in the genuine Annalise Michel cases were, I believe, a total of 67. In the movie, you will only see one attempt and an almost complete. Grazie, Bella. Oh, I just got a compliment. Thank you. Welcome, Sammy. I'm so glad. But you got to behave yourself because if you mouth off, you're gone. The priest in this instance doesn't really... He's being defended by a lawyer that wants to... She basically wants her own name on the wall. So she doesn't want to take this case. The Vatican has chosen her because of her Catholic standing, because they believe that she is going to have an empathetic view of this priest and what actually happened. And sometimes, you know, there's a lot of Catholics that don't exactly practice their Catholic faith, and they don't exactly understand some of the things that do go on that priests are called to do. In this instance, we are looking at the trial that's just beginning, and then it takes us backwards to this house, where you can almost see over here, right to the I don't know if that's left or right. You can see the priest's face as he walks up right to the doorway. So the priest is new to exorcism. He's new to coming out to this house. He's new to talking and finding out what's going on. He was a parish priest. All right. Now, this is the movie. This is not the actual Annalise Michel. So if you're familiar with that, I'm not going to be able to answer too many questions because we want to find the details of this movie that present as actual facts as opposed to fiction. All right. So exactly. Beware curiosity. We don't want to be too curious. The movie starts out in this house where Father Moore is arrested. All right. That's how this movie segues from the courtroom to this, where all the family is gathered. And the sheriff steps in. The doctor is there. The father is looking shell-shocked. And they pronounce that she's dead. They arrest the priest and take him away. We don't know why yet. This is the movie, okay? The lawyer steps into the next scene. She's interviewing the mother to try and find out, how did we get to this girl's death? The mother is telling her, yeah, the recordings were really, really bad. I would not listen to them. The Lutheran case, the Lutheran churches, I'm not sure if they tied into the original case, the Annalise Michel, but I'm going to answer that later. We're going to look at this American-made movie. In the initial interview with the priest, or not with the priest, but with the mother and the family, the lawyer finds out that in this instance, for whatever reason, Emily Rose was not... She wasn't watching scary movies. She wasn't indulging in occult behavior. She was a good student. She was quiet. She was sweet. Everybody loved her. She tried to explain to the lawyer that none of this stuff happened until she got the letter and she went off to college. So, when we look at the next frames, the doctor gets a call. Emily is at college. And thank you, AJ. Good to see you. Thank you so much. I just got another super chat, and I always have to say hi and thank you. And my super chat guys, you guys have just got my back. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Emily Rose has gone to college. At college, she has an incident in the classroom where she's seeing demonic faces out a window. She's seeing demonic faces in people's face, and she's running and she's screaming and she's carrying on. And her boyfriend at college sees her running in the rain into a church. Okay? And he's never seen her act like that. So he's following her, and she is stock still in front of the altar. Then all of a sudden she is thrown backwards, and her body starts contorting in an unnatural way that just couldn't happen. He's rushing. He's like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Let me help you. Let me help you. And in this guttural, masculine voice says, get away. Keep away. And he's like, whoa, that's not Emily I know. And then all of a sudden it released her. Whatever it had frozen her in that grip released her, and she starts crying. She's like, don't leave me. Just please don't leave me. She was so scared. And of course he never did. So he basically took her back to her apartment, her apartment there, and she was afraid. He held her all night and woke up to find her in some strained, contorted position, and called her father, and he says, you got to get her home. We don't know what's going on here. That is when they decided to put her in for observation. Usually when you have some sort of schizotypical fugue state, that sort of thing, nobody ever wants to jump to the fact that you could possibly be oppressed by demons. And in this case, when we look at, can demons really do that? We look at the fact that Emily Rose was in a classroom, a brightly lit classroom, and she was looking at a window and saw a demonic face. What was that? Was that pareidolia? Was that the mind wanting to see something demonic in the window? Well, in this movie instance, the video, or I don't mean the video, the film showed very clearly it was a demonic face. So yes, that definitely happens. However, she turned, and in this class, she's looking at her classmates, and she's seeing the guy next to her, and he is actually, his features are contorting, his brow is bulging forward, and she's really freaking out. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded. And that's what got her running in the first place. So in this instance, yes, I agree, Solomon, demonic influence is everywhere. What she was seeing as she was running, and seeing people walking in the rain and seeing their demonic countenance, the blackened eyes totally rolled back, and the sharpened features. And then she went to the church and saw that, yes, demons can really do that. Now, is it possible that these people were oppressed or possessed and used to frighten her? Yes, it's possible. However, it's more than likely, from my experience, that because of the level of oppression and possession that this young woman was showing in the movie, it's more than likely, I call it a demonic mask. Because At any time, the lower level demons, if allowed, they can make you see something that's not even there. And that could very well be why it was frightening her, to get her to run into traffic, to get her to run into something. So, we really don't know. Edgar, thank you so much. I just got another super chat. You guys are so wonderful. Thank you so much for all the support. God bless you guys. I really appreciate it, Edgar. Matthew. CIA. Okay, we're not talking about the CIA. Okay, not tonight. Another night. I will totally do one on. There are some really good movies out about some of the experiments that they did on our military with LSD. But we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about the demonic masks that she believed she was seeing these demonic faces. Okay, so fortunately for her, she had her faith. She ran into the church. Her boyfriend, who was very Catholic, also ran in there, and she was completely, bodily, physically, mentally, totally just possessed. All right? Can demons do that? Anywhere, anytime that God's permissible will says that they're allowed to do this, yes. And people are, well, they're in a sanctuary, they're in a church, how can they do this? Isn't that not allowed? Excuse me, the demons rule here. God never said that the demons couldn't enter his church. Never did he say that. He said the gates of hell will not prevail against my church. You and I are the church, the body of Christ, where we witness the living Christ. So, yes, it can happen. Yes, it does happen. So onward and upward. We now know that she has to go to get all these tests and figure out what's going on. All right. So she's back home. She goes into observation, and at the hospital, they're testing her. They determine, according to the legal courtroom, that she might have epilepsy. Epilepsy. That's why she's hurting herself, cracking her head. She's waking up every night at 3:00. Her covers are being pulled off. Her clothes are being pulled up. She's got severe pressure on her chest. She's feeling choked because she has epilepsy. Yes, this is what they would like us to believe. And this is Hollywood's representation of it, which, they did a pretty good job of. And not only that, we have to look at, yes, Father, that is the most important thing that we have to remember. Father Jamie just brought up a good point that we have to remember. The gates of hell will never prevail against the church. Ever, 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 okay? I don't care, what you put in there or what goes on. And this is why, this channel seeks to remind you guys, all right? The battle's already been won. We're the church militant. We got to be strong. Poor girl. They actually used electrodes on her. They gave her, Gambutrol, which is, it's supposed to stop your epilepsy, stop the jerking, and also it narcotizes the brain, all right, kind of puts you to sleep. In the courtroom, they said that this Gambutrol was supposed to, and took a while to stop what she was going through. However, she never was able to go back to school. This never stopped the problem. She was still having these episodes on the medication. And this is one of the biggest things that we have to be very, very, very careful of. Yeah, I haven't got to that yet, AJ, okay? Let's not give away the whole show. You're so terrible. But no, AJ's right. That did happen. So Emily, she is under full demonic possession in this movie. Not 100% of the time, not 24 hours a day, but at varied times. The devil is never, ever, ever allowed to possess us 24 hours a day. And that's a distinction I want to make here, that the movies may show that these people walk around possessed, that they may be constantly, in and out of growling and spewing and spitting and everything else. God does not allow that. Even people that are perfectly possessed, meaning they have invited it, they walk with it, they love it, they are still not allowed by God 100% of the time to be perfectly possessed. They may still be reached. They may still come out at times. Yeah. So Annalise's doctors are trying to control it. The priest is called in. The priest is called over. And this is where we get to AJ's part about eating the goodies. Oh my gosh, truth versus fact. Good to see you. God bless you. Thank you. I got another super chat, you guys. You guys are going to make me blush tonight. Thank you. Yes, the walking possessed Christian. Okay, this is not the humor hour. We're talking a movie. Now, when the father is called in, the pastor of the local parish, father actually, he has never ever performed an exorcism. He has never been involved in an exorcism. And before we see father going up to the house and actually, working with the family, he had to get permission, as always, from his bishop, from his local ordinary. He had never been involved in any kind of possession or exorcism case. So he had to look at the manual and study it to look at exactly what he was looking for based on what he knew of the case. And in the courtroom, as they're going through this timeline, the priest actually warns the attorney and says, "You're Catholic." And she says, "Oh no, I might be Catholic, but I'm agnostic. I don't really believe in this stuff." He says, "You don't have to believe in this stuff for it to believe in you. And there are a lot of dark forces in this case. So you just be really careful." He warned her ahead of time. That was the interesting I found really good, because demons are going to do that. Yes, God and left are the best anti-demon. I call it the anti-cockroach defense. We're looking at father is basically, he's getting involved now with the family. He's interviewing the family. I'm going to go ahead and show you some slides. This is not ugly yet, okay? I told everyone in chat that I would let them know when I had only one disturbing scene that was going to show. Emily Rose is here. Emily, thank you, Solomon Luxem. Oh, you have much love. Oh my gosh, how about a prayer, Solomon? Prayers for you. It's your heart and it's your intention. Don't ever forget, and I'm thanking someone in for giving a super chat. Don't ever think that what you have is not enough to give, because it is priceless in God's heart, and it's priceless to me too, okay? So don't even get me started. Don't make me cry, okay, guys? Thank you so much. God bless you. This image of Emily in the movie is basically her just before she went home, because she was hearing voices that would not allow her to eat. She was hearing, you know how we might go into, I don't know, one of those scarf and barf places, those, that serve all that food, and they have cafeteria style, and everybody's clanking their glasses, and they're just making all this noise, and you're like, ugh, the din. This bothered her so much. She heard demons tell her, you can't eat, you can't eat, you can't eat, you can't eat. So she had wasted away a lot of her weight. By the time the priest got involved in this case, this little girl had bruises from being on campus. She had circles, really dark circles under her eyes. It was really, really, really scary. By the time he actually got to be involved and got the permission, she had, all kinds of injuries, like shoulder injuries, hip injuries. And so when he finally got in touch with her, it was really, really, really scary. He walks into a house full of the family. The priest does. This is the priest right here. The father that was involved, that basically wanted to tell her story the way he knew Emily's story, and nobody else could but Emily, because he believed it was important. And in this instance of meeting her, he was in for a really big shock. This is what AJ was talking about earlier, is that he walks into this house and everybody's praying. She's got a very, very, exactly, Annalise says, Emily, a very, very devout family that love her. And they check on her constantly because she's either slamming her head into the wall, she's clawing at the wall, she's going rigid, she's being dragged back and forth across the room. This is a very, very violent possession. And yes, demons can do all of that. And, you know, we're going to talk about how they tried to redirect that in court and cross-examination. Because a lot of people that don't believe or don't understand are going to say, well, can't our mind go schizophrenic, or like they were talking full epileptic and psychotic? And can't we start flipping out and going rigid and, you know, having some of the similar problems that she had? Yes, in some instances, you can have a mental illness. But there's so much more to this case that they're bringing out, that we're going to see that it was definitely preternatural, and the preternatural, supernatural affected this poor girl's health. So when our priest gets there, this is how the demonic works. Before he stepped in the house, this girl, Emily, was just fine. She was laying down on the bed. The minute the priest walks in, she is literally off the bed and she is just on all fours, and the sister goes up to check on her and she's crunching on spiders, screaming. It's really sad. It's really awful. It's really horrendous. And this is how he begins the interview to begin the exorcisms, is trying to get her to some form of reason that he can talk to her. Now, back to the trial, as we flip back and forth, the priest right here, he is not testified yet. So we're listening to a variety of expert witnesses that come forward and talk about what she was dosed with, and how the expert doctors are saying that Annalise basically just was showing when she was found dead. She had bruises. She had, yes, please, 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 Jennifer. Yes, please do. If you didn't see Jennifer's post, she said, please keep me in prayer. I definitely need your prayers, all of you. Please, thank you. We're talking about, in case you're new, the trial of Emily Rose, the exorcism of Emily Rose, and how it was represented. The Catholic basically exorcism, the trial of the priest, what Emily went through in representing the true life case of Annalise Michel. The witnesses for the prosecution said that this girl had epilepsy. She was given a proven, that's the truth, Anne, that's the God's honest truth. She had shown that by taking the medication, had she stayed on it, she could have lived. I don't believe that, and I don't think anyone that is associated with the trial, the defending attorney didn't really believe that. The priest didn't believe that. They didn't know what to believe. They just knew something was really, really wrong here. Very, very wrong. And when they testified against this priest, they said that this woman had self-induced traumas, self-induced wounds that were caused by all the electronic or electrical activity, synapses going on in her brain. And sadly, we know medicine is not an exact science. It does much to keep us alive, but it's not exact. Still, there was no direct evidence that this was all epilepsy or psychosis. This was the big problem that this attorney had to prove right here. She had to prove that this was not psychosis. It was not just epilepsy. So she had to go outside the norm. Aw, thank you, Sean. We love you too, sweetie. And in her going outside the norm, she just wanted the entire jury to like be open to the fact that perhaps in faith-based systems that there are things beyond our understanding and beyond the ken of medical science. She just wanted to prove that shadow of a doubt that it might be real. Welcome, Andrew. So glad you could make it. We got a lot of people. This is so much fun doing the Exorcism of Emily Rose. If you're new, this is not for children, so don't bring them in. Now, as we switch back and forth from the trial to the interviews, the sad thing is this young man, the boyfriend, is just, oh gosh, he's such a sweetheart. He's such a great kid. He really, really, really wants to be a part of helping this young lady any way he can. So the lawyer gets to interview this young man who never left her side. He's just so sweet. And he testifies to the fact on the stand that Emily not only heard voices, she saw things, she experienced things that he could see she did not do this to herself. There's no way it was possible that she could have hurt herself like this. She could not have thrown herself and contorted like that. And can demons do this? Can demons enter our heads and scream at us? Can they really, make these noises so loud in our heads that we can't even think, that we can't eat, that we're so freaked out? Can they do that? Darn right they can. Not only do they do that, they can do that to you and me right now. And guess what? We can bind them away and put them to the foot of the cross. Put them right where they go. Don't you ever be afraid of anything you hear or see or think of. Because Jesus Christ, he bought and paid for it on the cross, folks, okay? So you take whatever you got, you bind it there, and you ask the Holy Spirit to come right back in and replace anything gone, and you're good. I'll remind you that at the end of this, too, because this movie, oh boy, sometimes we get into these things, and thank you, Jesus. Nothing happened with this video, but sometimes it happens. So the boyfriend was a very strong defense witness, trying to get to the truth of the matter and let everybody know that he held on to her up until the very end. And they weren't, it wasn't anything that he couldn't handle. He just he loved her and he wanted to be there for her. And I thought that was the biggest testimony in the whole movie, that of all the people involved, she had her mother, she had her father, she had so many people around her that loved her, but she had this one outsider that stepped out of his realm of understanding and comfort, and he never left her side. That was just like, wow, what a sacrifice for that guy to do. He didn't know what he was getting into. He had no idea, but he was always there. Now, after the prosecution talks to this young kid, they bring in the father, okay? Now the father, I'm just going to take this over here so you guys don't have to look at him anymore, because sometimes, they just get like, these images just get so distracting. So we're going to talk about the father on prosecution. Now the father and mother love this girl in this movie. They are devastated at what's happening to their daughter. Everybody's devastated. Her brothers and sisters, or her sisters, are just, they're in shock of what she's going through. And the father on cross, tells the attorney that his daughter never had any kind of indication. There was no occult. There was nothing. She was a happy girl. She was sweet. She was bright. And then they find out that he has the father. They pointed out, are you familiar with the DSM, the Diagnostic Institutions Manual for mental illness, for personality disorder? And of course, the father doesn't know this stuff. And he says, well, have you ever been to a mental institution or anything like that? He was leading him. And he says, well, yes, I was once. My aunt died in a mental institution. Oh, so you have a history. You have a family history. So that explains everything, right? Because if they can point out that you have one family member that is cuckoo, Oh, thank you so much. Oh, God bless you, Libby. I just got another super chat. I have to say thank you. You guys are so wonderful tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. I don't want to mispronounce your name, Libby Campbell. God bless you. Thank you. Every time you guys give me a super chat, it supports a channel. It supports me helping people all over the United States and across lines in the Philippines and Russia and everywhere else. So thank you. God bless you. We're talking about dad being on trial, the family being on trial. Everybody's going on trial. And in a sense, let me tell you something right now. I'm going to say it out loud. I'm sorry if this is not a popular opinion. Courtrooms are demonic. I said it. Now, do I mean that the judge is demonic and the prosecutors and everybody else is demonic? No. But I will tell you, just like one of my best friends says about prison being a playground for the demonic, the courtroom, even though you have to swear on a Bible, I'm going to tell the truth, full of demonics. Why? Because so many people in that courtroom, we're not even going to go over what actually goes on. I'm just telling you, there's a reason the Bible instructs us very strongly, settle your case out of court. Do not go to a court if you don't have to, because the judge could throw you out and in jail and you lose your life. The courtroom is open to suggestion. So I just had to say that, just because when I looked at this trial, yes, Freemasonry signs are usually all over courtrooms. When I looked at this trial, I saw so many invitations to anger and just misinterpretation and misdirection, and just the way, okay, and I was on a debate team, okay? I love debate because I won't debate unless I know exactly what I'm talking about. And in a court of law, just like in this case, you have people that are debating, and what are they doing? Whether they are right or wrong, they are attempting to sway the jurors, a box of people over here, to change their mind, to get them to have, without a doubt, that this person is guilty of a crime according to the law. And sadly, I must say it because I'm as guilty as most when I've had to be a juror. You can't always expect the people that are chosen to sit on a jury to be educated past the 6th or 7th grade. You can't always expect them to have empathy, have a faith. So in this case, we didn't look at the jury so much, but we looked at the antics of the prosecuting attorney and the attorney. The prosecuting attorney wasn't as bad as I thought he could be, but it was rather interesting. Now, the next person up on the stand, which was really good, this was a crux right here. It was really interesting because in this movie, they had an anthropologist show up for the defense side, for the priest. And in this instance, of course, the prosecuting attorney saying, so we're allowing witch doctors right now. We're going to just have, why don't we just throw some bones up here? He was really being just a jerk. This was interesting because anthropologists can testify, and they usually testify in criminology cases. However, this was a case of more psychology and religious practice and that sort of thing. I got to get a sip of my lemon water, you guys. I'm like running at the mouth tonight. And remember, if you guys have any questions, you guys got some great comments. I love the chat. You guys just streaming along. Please save it to the end so I can get your questions. In this instance, the anthropological expert is, I believe she's a Hindu woman in the movie. And her expertise lie in possessions of different faiths. And I found it really interesting how she explained this, okay? I was just like, I didn't remember this because I've only seen the movie once. It wasn't, one of those movies that you want to watch over and over again. However, she testified that in this instance, this young lady, Emily Rose, was basically blocked in her experience. This is Emily Rose when she was on campus and she was afraid. And it's not a bad image, so you guys don't have to run just yet, but she's just scared. And I just thought, this poor girl, she was on campus and she was cute and everything else. So that's why I threw it in there. The anthropologist says, okay, in her experience, this young woman was a I'm sorry, but I got people in chat making funny jokes. I have somebody who says his grandchildren are demons. I'll send you some holy water, okay? We'll find out for sure if their heads spin. That was bad. Segue back. In the case of Emily Rose, her ability to empathize, she was a super sensitive, okay? And a super sensitive is one of those people that are more prone to demonic attack, to spiritual attack, supernatural manifestations than anyone else. Oh gosh, now we have more people that are having demons. I'm going to be passing out free holy water for the next month for you guys. The anthropologist says and states that, okay, what is it? Okay, because due to her hypersensitivity, all right, she attracted these things, okay? I got to address this. I really got to address this, you know, from working from mentally ill people and oppressed people. The suggestion that from an anthropological perspective that a hypersensitive person is more open to spiritual attack or supernatural warfare and can't get these things off. Well, let me tell you something. Is that demonic or is that not? What we're not hearing her say here is that in my experience and in the office of exorcism and in the office of ministry, what you have with people that are quote unquote super sensitive or hypersensitive, this is a defense mechanism. Hypersensitivity and supersensitivity is a learned habit of expression. If we look at the personality and the DSM and the personality disorders that create hypersensitivity and super empaths, it's almost as if as human beings, in the construct of our minds, we can go one of two ways. We can completely shut down and feel nothing and become narcissistic, or I know that word's tossed around a lot, but we literally shut down emotionally, or we can go the opposite direction. And in order to survive, we develop these ways of coping to where we have antenna and radar coming out of every pore of our body. So anybody so much as tilts their head and we're like, do you need something? Or somebody, oh, can I get you some tissue? You become hypersensitive, hypervigilant, constantly sensitive to everything around you, and you overdo. What does that mean in this instance where they're saying that she potentially attracted the demonic? As I was saying, we're coming from my experience as a religious demonologist, and I call myself that because Ken called myself that, and I am proud that he called me that because I know what it is now. Even though I did not get my degree, like there's only one person in the world, but the experience I want to relate to you here is that we have to be very careful when we say that hypersensitive people or supersensitive people can be demonized or can be possessed. That's not necessarily true. In the office, however, trauma wounds, trauma bonds from in utero, all right, to, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 13, those trauma wounds create in our gray matter, they create these channels that fill in with that. There's nothing else to call it, but it is, it's a life punch. And that's why I tell people to be very careful about watching these videos in case they can be triggered easily by things. So when we're talking about somebody being hypersensitive and open to the infection of the demonics, when we seek outside of ourself that should only be given to God, you're asking for trouble. You want to go to a psychic? You want to go to a mind reader? You want to go to get your astrological chart done? You want to just go have some fun and get some girlfriends and get your rune stones read? Well, heck, you're probably not going to get possessed. But that 1 in 1,000 chance, that 1 in 1,000 chance that God's permissible will allows for his greater glory that you should be oppressed, don't take that chance, okay? Just don't do it. And in this instance, this was a really interesting point that this woman made, that this could have been one of those reasons that, you know, she just she went from this sweet girl to absolutely oppressed. Absolutely oppressed, okay? Excuse me. So, the other interesting thing about the movie, and I'm going to tell you my opinion too, the anthropologist says that the gambuterol that she was given for her epilepsy had gotten her brain so intoxicated it blocked the demon from leaving, so it locked her in. Okay, all right, let's talk about locking demons in. And that's what she said. She said there was no way that you could reach Emily Rose, because once she started taking that medication, you couldn't reach Annalise. There was no right reason in there. The demon was locked in there. She was possessed. I disagree with that for many, many reasons. Basically, when we're trying to help people and they have some sort of, let's just say they have like bipolar, a really, really common, difficult one, or let's just say that they're suffering from a psychosis or a schizotypical personality. Without the medication which levels them out, or shall we say is a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, it balances them and kind of just zones them, we can't really get to their reason so they can develop habits to start building a level of faith. And so in this instance, in this movie, can demons do that? In my opinion, no. Now, I don't know everything. I'm not a 40-year exorcist. I can only speak from my experience and the exorcists that I know and that I do work with. Medications themselves that are used to treat mental illness in themselves, as far as I know, will not cause oppression, will not cause possession, should not give anybody a pause or cause other than to be hopeful that you too can take charge of your own treatment, and one step at a time can help yourself get out of whatever it is you're suffering, or at least maintain a life that is happy and peaceful, and you keep trying and going forward, etc., etc. Yeah, exactly. It's the name that somebody just pointed out. It is the name that they used in the movie for the epilepsy thing that they gave her. So I just had to address that because I just thought that was just like, okay, come on. I mean, this is a stretch here, but it looks good in movies when you bring an expert like that who says, you know, I've dealt with all these possessions and it just locked her in. She can't escape. She can't get out. Okay, all right. Onward and upward. We're going to go into the investigation. I could be here all night, you guys. Oh my gosh, I've already been, yammering, and I'm not even anywhere close to the end. So, truth, experience is an amazing teacher. Always, always, always. Now, as we go into the cross-examination of the priest, all right, because they are really having fun trying to tell him that he doesn't know what he's doing. They're trying to tell him that he was the one that literally killed her. He was the one that, and that's why they were interviewing the father. They were interviewing the boyfriend. They wanted to point it out that, exactly, giving way too much power to medicine. Thank you for pointing that out, Father Jamie. And that's what our society and our culture does. We put too much on medicine. We have to be an integral part of our healing. This is where our faith steps in. And in this movie, they wanted it to seem that everything was dumped on the priest's shoulders, that there was nobody else that could have interfered, that he was the one that told her to get off the medication and, told her that it wasn't doing any good, et cetera, et cetera. And in my experience, no priest is going to tell you to get off your medication. That just don't happen. I would think it would be more often that the person taking the medication, this is what usually happens. Oh, it's not doing any good. Or I've only taken it for a week. It's not working. I don't want it anymore. They pitch it out instead of waiting to see if it's actually going to make a difference. Hey, Laura, you made it. Good to see you. We got so many people joining. I love it. Now, we're going to talk about the movie and the exorcism. All right, I'm not showing the scary pictures yet, okay? I'm not showing scary pictures, okay, guys? Not yet, so don't run away yet. The exorcism, the father on the stand is going back and forth in his memory and explaining to the prosecuting attorney that when he got this case and he met her, he had a nightmare that woke him up. And it drove him out of his bedroom to where he saw beautiful sacred images bleeding from the eyes. He saw beautiful sacred images in the hall that were fabric that looked like they were oozing. He saw a very distorted view of things, and he was able to get in the church, and he testified that this really scared the hell out of him. Prosecuting attorney says, well, have you ever seen this monster, this dark shadow again? And he tells them, it has never left me. Now let's talk about, can demons really do that? In the movie, father's waking up at 3 a.m. The defense attorney is waking up at 3 a.m. And yes, demons have a habit of waking you up between 2 and 4. Usually it's around 3. It's a mockery of the Holy Trinity. For me, for years, it was always 3:12 or 3:13. I don't know why, but it just, everybody's different how they get affected. Yes, you are woken up. Yes, it's usually some sort of nightmare, perversity, strange noise, shadow. The defense attorney was hearing strange things. She was hearing doors move. The priest, when he got involved in this case, was just thrown back because this was going to be his first exorcism. He had to study. He had to get permission. And for him, being woken up was not the norm. And many exorcists that I've talked to, especially new ones or even ones that have been working 8-10 years, will say, I've had to move my office over to another building because so much stuff goes on and the secretaries are complaining and the students are complaining. Or what was one exorcist, and I'm not going to give any names, but when they start working for God on this level, things happen. Electronics break down. Lights go out for no reason. Things disappear and are found in other places. So what is going on in this movie for this priest to be woken up and seeing these things is pretty normal. It's pretty like average. But for priests to get this scared, that's not, no. No, they don't get that scared because they understand it's a lie. Yeah, it's unnerving. Yeah, it's unnerving. You want to look twice and go, oh, maybe that's not really there. But they don't. They look away. They cross themselves, bless themselves, and they understand it's only a trick and it's only a lie. You have to understand that anything that happens to you that disturbs your soul, creates chaos in your mind, is a lie and not of God. No angel, no Jesus that loves you to blazes is going to frighten you. So this priest was pretty freaked out. And the other thing that we were talking about here is that will demons follow you? Because this priest was actually saying, this dark thing never left him. Now, in my last chapter that I just did on humility and pride, we talked about, of course, Father Jamie, I can't remember it. There is a beautiful passage in Paul where he talks about the revelations that he was given. And he was talking and he was preaching and saying, so that I would not get too conceited and I wouldn't get too puffed up, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a devil to remind me how insignificant I was. And I find that for many people that do this work, priests, exorcists, lay people, I'm not saying that demons follow them. I'm saying there are familiar ones that have to be consistently prayed away because they will keep poking and poking and poking until you bind them away enough that they finally go. Although some people have ones that they won't let up. And is it a bad thing? I'm not Padre Pio. I don't know any Padre Pios that are wrestling with demons. Maybe I do, but I'm not going to say it. But what the point is that people are going to wrestle with whatever God allows in his permissible will. And it's always going to be for the glory of God. Not for my glory, not for their attention, not for anybody else's attention. Always to bring people to the fullness of faith, the glory of God, and the true presence of his Son on earth, here to help us all. Although, we do have the Paraclete. So into the exorcism we go. We have present the priest in the bedroom in this movie. The boyfriend is right next to her giving support. And, obviously, he's trying to smile and give her whatever he can. The father's there, the priest, the mother. And the priest instructs them. He says, whatever you do not address Emily Rose after I begin. Do not answer. Do not address. Pray the rosary. Pray whatever litany of the saints. Pray whatever prayers you want. Do not speak back, period. So they knew that she had a habit of, being thrown and tossed and clawing. So they arranged to have, not restraints, but something basically to tie her wrists. They had to tie her wrists to the bedposts so they could begin the exorcism. And as he's going through the exorcism and performing the major rite on her, basically the exorcist he's reading directly from the book. Everybody's praying so nice and quietly. And then all of a sudden, she changes. And she becomes completely possessed. And all of a sudden, she's broken one of her restraints. And, the priest is ignoring it. And everybody's praying. And all of a sudden, she manages to grab something. I don't remember what it was in the movie. She grabs something and boom, hits the priest in the chest. The priest is thrown back. Before I get into the rest of the exorcism, I want to address this, and there's a question in chat. Can demons do this? Are demons that strong to break out of restraints? Yes, it's rare, but they do. Can demons hurt a priest during an exorcism? Yes, they can. It's pretty rare. They don't usually do it. That's why the importance of having people there to help, restrain and keep someone safe. Now, we get into it. But I want to answer one question because I asked you guys if we could do this at the end, but there is a question from chat about family curses and breaking them. All right? Family curses are really familiar to me, and I've had to spend a good deal of years and a good deal of time breaking some of the family curses that I'm afflicted by, such as alcoholism, intemperance, quite a few of them. So go to the website, www.swordsofstmichael.org, and on the tab, you're going to go to the prayers tab for breaking curses. And if you need any help, contact me. There is a number on the website. There is an email, and I would be glad to personally help you. And if you want to take some time to do a quick intake, we can get you directly naming those things, breaking them, and working with them either in a 9-day novena or 54-day novena, which is much more efficacious. Okay? Back to the movie. In this case, the exorcism is going on. She has one hand free, knocks the priest out, breaks the other hand free, starts shrieking and raging. Everybody is standing back, and they're jumping on her. They're trying to hold her down. She's bucking and everything else. Flies out the window. Can demons really do that? Do they really do that? Well, let me tell you, as many as I've been around, yeah. Try a 250-pound guy, 300-pound guy, 120-pound guy, a 90-pound woman, a 200-pound woman, 4 or 5 people on top of a little girl. It's like 80 pounds, and she's flipping them all off. Cursing in another language. it happens. It happens. So yes, good restraints are always good, and everybody says, well, aren't they going to get hurt? They're going to get hurt probably anyway. So yeah, it's good to pad the restraints and everything else. You do what you can for the person that is possessed. But it happens. They can buck off as many people as God allows the demon to possess that person. It's not very common, but yeah, it happens. So in the movie, she's flown out the window and she is running free. Now everybody has to go back down, and they are chasing her across the field. And there's a question in chat that is basically held for review because it concerns something that normally I don't say this word live because I get demonetized if I say certain things. And the question was here that, was she sexually abused? Now, in this movie, it only intimated the fact that she suffered, paralysis, and that she may have been molested from the removing of her clothes. And this is why I tell you guys, don't watch this stuff. It's not worth it. It really, really isn't. So it is possible that this is part of the story, but it only intimated it. It never showed the graphic details. So thank you for the question about the movie. And thanks, Matt. You are getting good. I like you, Mr. Matt. We are on to what happens when they catch her. All right, so we've got Dad. And the doctor that was present for the trial, too. The family doctor that Emily had called, and they, put her in the observation. So Dad got a hold of her, the doctor got a hold of her boyfriend got a hold of her, and she's surrounded. Now, the funny thing is she's in this barn, okay? She's in this barn. And it was a pretty eerie place to finish an exorcism, if you ask me. I mean, it was just, I'm not quite sure, but I figured this is the movie. This is where the climax is supposed to happen. And the focus here on this last scene is some of the preternatural things that were going on. When Father had originally began the exorcism and was praying the prayers, she screamed back at him in Latin, and I only caught a little bit of it. I don't know if you saw it, Father Jamie, but she basically said in Latin that I will take her. We will have her. So it used two distinct pronouns that I thought was really interesting in the Latin that it was spewing. And then, it was testified in court that she was also speaking Aramaic. So it spoke Latin, it spoke Aramaic. I did not hear the Koine Greek, but, usually I can recognize those languages. And in the barn, she's just hissing and frothing, and it's pretty ugly. So you know what I'm going to do, guys? I am going to tell Rosalie and Ash that I know Matt, Fast Finger Matt, we're going to call him, right, Ash? We're going to look at, here we go. All right, you guys. We're going to go to that one scene that is going to be very, shall we say, disturbing. Oh, you know what? We can suddenly beautifully ask Father Jamie if he is still in here, if he will pray for us, because basically he is a very, very, very holy priest. Okay, super holy priest. So Father Jamie, if you're in here, if you could join in chat real quick and just let people know that you'll pray for my listeners and the people that support this channel. They would love it. Either that, or I'm going to be texting you later and saying, they need you to pray, Father. Thank you. Let's get on with this. This is in the barn. The priest is continuing the prayers. And of course, she's not even, she's not even strapped down. Now, I don't know how many of you have grown up on a farm or grown up in, you have these big rings in the floor so you can get underneath, and you have all these things, pins everywhere. She could have been tied down, but she wasn't. She's just circled by these people. As he's praying the prayers, the snakes come out. I don't know where the snakes came from, but all of a sudden we got snakes everywhere. And I was like, all right, what's this all about? And then this is the part where in the ritual, the demons are confronted, and Father says, who are you? Who are you? Give me your names. Give me your names. And finally, the actual entity that's been controlling her is screaming out what his name is. And, I don't know how long you guys have watched this channel, and I'm hoping if you like Swords of St. Michael channel, everybody give it a thumbs up, please. Drive it up in the algorithm. Oh, there's Father Jamie, and look at him. He's got the beautiful Orthodox cross, so that means he's praying for all of us, okay? He's one of the holiest priests I know, okay? So, let's look at these demon names. We ain't saying them live because I don't even say them privately if I don't have to. Do you know why? Remember that stupid movie, Beetlejuice? And I talk about it because it's the same concept. Does saying demon names attract people? Okay, is this demonic or not? Not always. However, what you have to understand is like the Roman legions. You got all these big guys where there's lots of middle guys and lots of lower guys. And then there's a little tiny little cockroaches that are just like laying eggs everywhere. Don't attract any of them. Don't say demon names. Don't call them, okay? It's not good. Solomon, if it's buffering, stop it and then restart it. I am so sorry about that. I know, Father Jamie, thank you for all your prayers. Everybody is thanking you so much, Father. So, Father is in the movie getting the names, and of course the demon is in a lot of pain and shrieking because the demon never wants to give out names. Thank you for joining us, Chicago boy. I haven't seen you in a while. And all of a sudden, as the priest is getting these names out, Emily is just literally looking like, she's about to puke everything out of her. All right. The ritual's concluded and we're back in the courtroom. Okay, here comes the slide I was telling you guys. Everybody look away if you don't want to see something a little bit temperamental. Here she is. This was the scene I was telling you about. This actress was so wonderful. And I'll tell you when I cover this actress was so wonderful. And this is where she was eating the bugs earlier. She, because of her ability to contort her body, she did an excellent job, absolutely excellent job of portraying what this woman went through. Now, I'm covering the image, so if you guys did not want to see the image, hold on, give me 2 seconds and I will get it off. The image is gone, you guys. If you didn't want to see that ugly image, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone. All we have is the priest and the lawyer, right? So whatever you didn't want to look at, come back in. This is the final exorcism. All right, we go back into the court. And as we go into the court, this beautiful priest is relating to this lawyer the whole sessions were taped. The whole sessions were taped. You're welcome, Rosalie, because, we don't need to look at things that are going to invite us to be upset or, to give us nightmares. Or I don't want to do that for anybody. Ever, ever, ever. The court is cross-examining to find out what was on those tapes. It is, depending on the diocese, can demons really do that? Can they be heard on tape? Yes, they can. On this tape, 2 different voices came out of her. Can demons do that? Yes. Is it true, as the prosecuting attorney was pointing out, that we do have the ability to use our vocal cords to throw, our voice and get 2 sounds out as the monks do? Yes, it is. This case was just so horrific, so unbelievable. I do believe in this movie, people were shocked to hear what they heard on the tape. So these tapes opened up people's eyes to the fact that if this girl had epilepsy, is she going to be growling like a cornered bear or something that doesn't even resemble an animal? No, she's not. If she had epilepsy, come on. This is just beyond, all right? Just absolutely beyond. Now, when we're looking at the end of the prosecution of the witness for the defense and the priest, there was a doctor. The lawyer tried to get such a good doctor for this priest. And that was there. There were no doctors that could be had to testify that possession could be real. All right? They just couldn't get one. In this trial, the doctor was only able to present these tapes. And when it came time for him to testify, he didn't show up. The court reconvenes. This lawyer meets with his doctor. And at the meeting, she says, your testimony could help this priest, could really, help him, just live, survive, etc., etc. And he says, please apologize to Father. Tell him I know what demons do. I can't be there. And as he's getting these words out, this movie is pretty sad. He's killed by a hit-and-run driver. I mean, you want to talk about drama? Oh my gosh, the drama. But this is Hollywood, all right? But can demons do that? Yes, they can. And there have been numerous eyewitnesses to people that have been involved in cases like this. And yes, demons can drop you. If it's God's permissible will, never forget that. We are protected, all right? We have our sacramentals. We have our faith. We have that deposit, that seed of the Holy Spirit. We are protected, all right? Don't think this is ever going to happen to you. Can it happen? Yeah. So in court, we have a priest that was not supposed to testify that testifies to Emily Rose's story and says that these incidences are going to continue to happen unless he gets the truth about the fact that demons are real. And the story must be told. And for any of you that do not know me or do not know the history that I have or the history that I have with this Swords of St. Michael channel, Deb Johnson was a very close friend of mine and her husband Arnie. And Arnie, if you're out there listening, hi. She did the same thing her whole life. Because of the possession and because of the demons, she would tell the story over and over and over again so people would not deny Christ. She never wanted them to deny Christ. Thank you, Lori. Thank you. And just got another super chat. I got to say thank you because I got my little chat bar up here so I can say hi to people and address some things. This was the importance. This priest didn't care if he went to jail. He didn't care if he was given the gas chamber. He needed to tell this girl's story so people believed it. And here we are at the end of the trial, and we're looking at these graphic pictures of this girl's bruised and bloody. I mean, she's got the black eyes, bruised all over. She had broken ankles. She was, she wasn't eating anything. She literally starved herself to death. The priest said, yeah, I told her to eat. She wouldn't eat. She said the demons just were chasing her around. And then he pulls out a letter that she wrote after the last exorcism. And this is the best part. Okay, you guys, this is the best part. And then I'll take a few of your questions. The priest basically, I know I miss Deb too. I miss her big time. I'm in talks with Arnie so that, we can bring him on and talk about that whole case and what he experienced with the step in possession that caused murder. But I want to do it in God's time, not my time, you guys. So be patient with me there. On the stand, on the witness stand, he pulls out a letter. And in order to finish his testimony, he brings forth in Emily's words that she believed that her love of God, thank you, Sean, thank you so much. Her love of God led her to this very moment. Her love of God allowed her to use this pain as an example to save souls, to bring people to the truth. To the truth. Extra ecclesiam nulla salus, the church. She related in this letter that she had a vision. Emily Rose, who was truly representing Annalise Michelle, okay? She had this beatific vision. And in this vision, she saw the most beautiful woman and realized it was the Blessed Mother. And she says, why is this happening to me? Why do I have to suffer so much? What did I do? What's wrong? And she heard the Virgin Mary tell her that, she hadn't done anything wrong. But she said, you've suffered much, and you can come with me right now. No pain, perfect peace, come with me. So Annalise could have left her body behind, stepped into the vision, and been perfectly at peace. I don't know if you guys heard that. That was pretty bizarre. I'm not going to say what it was. Stuff is always happening here. The Blessed Mother said, you have a choice. You can stay here. If you stay here, it will be painful. It will be horrible. But you can choose to suffer this, and many will come to see the truth. Many will come to the faith because of this choice, and they will see the reality. People will see that demons are very real. Oh, thank you, Athena. Yes. Oh my gosh, how beautiful. I just got a super chat. I got to say thank you in loving memory of the beautiful soul, Deborah Johnson, my bestie. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I miss her every day. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Athena. That's so sweet of you. Deb had to undergo many, many exorcisms with her brother, and the call box that was used in those exorcisms is right around the corner here in my house. So, sorry guys. Emily looks at this vision, and she knew that she'd suffered so much, she couldn't just go with the Blessed Mother and leave. After what she'd been through, everything she'd been tortured by, she was in it. She walked away and she says, I'm going to stay. And at that moment, her body bore the stigmata. Her body bore the wounds of Christ, the holes that would smell like almonds and flowers. And the priest testified that not only was it there, but it lasted for a while. Now, if anybody who's not familiar with stigmata, it's very, very rare. It usually only happens to some of the most holy people that truly devote their mind, their soul, their body, their spirit, everything they have to a level of suffering that you and I cannot imagine. I know I'm not cut out to be that kind of saint. I'm a wimp. I'm a flippin' wimp. Okay, give me a bottle of whiskey. I'm going to smack my head hard. I don't want to feel that. I'm bad. God forgive me. But this gal in the movie decided to do that. And of course the priest is tortured and he's reading this letter and everybody's just in shock. The stigmata. Most people, if you haven't been around faith, you have no idea what the wounds of Christ are and what they could mean. To suffer with Christ, as Christ. Yes, her real name was, thank you so much, Sean. Sorry, I teared up a little bit, guys. So she chooses to stay. And shortly after that, she refused any more exorcisms and she stopped eating completely. Nice for you to show up, Scott, at the last minute, as usual. I hope you brought, sandwiches and drinks. Hello. You got on the tail end. I'm going to be asking for questions soon, so everybody get your questions in all caps so my sweet mods, Matt, Ashley, Lori, can jump them into me. At the end of the trial, the closing arguments that Emily died, they would not say she specifically died from natural causes. They said it was from starvation, malnutrition. Her body couldn't fight back. She had no ability to heal herself. At the end of the movie, the judge rules that The jury found him guilty. His sentence would be time served in the movie. Now, we all know that's pretty rare for a judge to be that kind. That's okay, Matt. I know you got the sandwiches and you already brought me the whiskey. So we're good. Oh my gosh. I know. Last one to chat has to bring the snacks. You got it? I don't care if it's cheesecake. I don't care if it's keto cookies or bacon bits. Okay, we can sit here and munch on bacon bits. Sorry, I segued. This is how the movie ends. There's some things that, I didn't cover in the movie because it wasn't that important or germane to the fact of how the demonics work through this. But the movie ends with the inscription on the tomb, all right? And on the tomb was Philippians 12. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. That's pretty powerful. So right now I want you guys, I'm going to make some observations. If you have a question or if you have sandwiches, whiskey, bring them on in. Okay, or tea. We'll just do some tea or I'll do some water. This movie, on many levels, Philippians 12, did not put Exorcism or the church in a dark light so much per se, as the movie was trying to point out that, she had suffered from the lack of medical care due to a priest that overstepped his bounds. And he had to be on trial. He had to be charged. And that was the sad part of it. And I think today in our society, in our culture, we see in a lot of ways everything from, and I'm going to say it out loud. So if anybody's offended, I'm going to apologize. I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm just going to say it. But our children are being removed from houses because parents are refusing this. Okay? They're refusing that big old hijab thing right in the arm. Why are children being removed from parents' houses? Because court of laws and the laws looking at enforcing things are not always led by the hand of God. And in this instance, we're seeing a priest that was literally railroaded to be killed because he poured his heart and soul into a parishioner. So that's what's going on in our world today. We cannot expect justice to be just. Anybody got questions? Because it is time. All right. Well, Elizabeth, welcome to the show. I think it's important that we know that there's things that are going on in our society. Natural parents are we're being encouraged to rat out our neighbors. Well, they're not sending their kids to school. Well, those kids don't have clean clothes on, and pretty soon, social services is over there taking those kids out of a household that they're perfectly happy, but because somebody complained, they have to follow up on the complaint and remove the children for 24 hours. It's, Colin, it's good to see you, Colin. God bless you. We have to be really aware, people, that we need to watch out for each other. We need to stand arm in arm. As a church militant, we need to pray together, pray corporately, and be there for one another. And we have to call out the demonic for what it is when we see it, as we see it, and step back and away from it. We have a question in the chat for Jennifer, because she wanted to know, let's see if I can get this here. All right, the question is, didn't she spend time in prayer and adoration and have a respite? I'm understanding this is due to the case in the movie, Emily Rose. Right? Emily Rose, prayer, adoration, and respite. She didn't get that much respite from her attacks. She did spend time in prayer. She did spend time in adoration. She did take the sacrament frequently when she could take it. She, as far as I know, she didn't get much respite. She slept, she ate in this movie, but she didn't get not a lot at all. But Well, you guys, I am not seeing any other chat questions. And my opinion of this movie was it was fairly accurate. If you've seen the movie, great. If you haven't, don't worry about seeing it. You're not missing anything. It is one of those movies that it's pretty graphic. It's pretty horrible. It is... people think that exorcism is some big deal where, heads are spinning and everything else. A lot of times it's like this. It's just, people puking, people contorting, eyeballs popping out. It's not as over dramatic as Hollywood puts it out. People don't always die and they don't always have these difficulties. But a lot of times there can be physical and psychological scars afterwards. That's why the Office of Exorcism is very careful about stepping forward into an exorcism in the case of mental illness or potential mental illness, because you never want to encourage somebody that, I got the demons in me. You don't want to encourage that sort of mentality to think that, well, I don't have to do anything because a demon made me do it, right? No. So, thank you. God bless you, Father Jamie. Thank you so much. It's so been wonderful. Yes, we do have to talk soon. Love and prayers. Thank you for joining us, Father Jamie. And Palmina and Ash, Colin, AJ, Solomon, Elizabeth, Lori, and Sean Marie, and everyone else that came tonight. I want to thank you for participating in the chat. Thank you so much for all the super chats. You guys just really rocked this house out tonight. I mean, amazing super chats. And I want you to remember that, this is a Swords of St. Michael network. Battle has already been won between good and evil. Hopefully, this channel is here to help you win the fight and win it right. Give it a thumbs up if you can. Subscribe. Smash that button so you get notifications. Because if you don't put on notifications, you're not going to know when I feel like jib-jabbing with you guys. And thank you so much. God bless you guys. Rosalie, Jennifer, Athena, goodbye. And Teal. I know you. Good to see you, Tony. You finally made it. Scott, nice of you to show up at the last minute with no snacks. I love it. You guys, we got to do this last little thing, the little reminder before we go. God bless you all. Our wrestling. It's time to wrestle, all right? So my prayers are with you. Be safe. Never, never, never stop being grateful, for this minute is the present. And we got to unwrap it and appreciate it. Farrah, over and out. God bless you guys. Our wrestling is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of this world of darkness, against the spirits of wickedness in high places. God bless and good night. Thank you, AJ.